Is he going to stay retired? Probably. I don't know. He seems pretty set in his ways. He seems like one of those guys who's just fucking serious, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of serious, he plays a serious man in this movie. Phantom Thread. What do you guys think?
Thread, yeah. The first time watch for all of us, right? I believe.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really exciting. Fresh PTA eyes over here.
Yep.
And we're at the home stretch, man. This is
Yeah.
This is it. This is the last. I mean, we got one more after, but
Yeah, one more block.
I'm kind of feeling like the senioritis right now with PTA, but I don't know. First taste, I enjoy this movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of his. I wouldn't say it's his best. I wouldn't say it's his worst. I'd say pretty good. And overall, this movie really snuck up on me. I'll kind of just leave it at that. It got sneaky good.
Yeah. I feel that because I was like, I wasn't like really invested, really for the first probably like 45 minutes or so.
It's a slow first hour.
Yeah. Honestly,
it doesn't feel slow, but the story is slow. Like I didn't feel the time, but I didn't feel the engagement. Weirdly, that's how I don't know. It was a strange sensation.
It's every like interaction with characters is very subtle. Like the beats are like they're very underplayed and it's
very small,
very slow paced. So so it took me a bit, but honestly, like that back half, some shit started like unfolding, and I was surprised by it. And honestly, the score was pretty. I was just happy with the music throughout.
Johnny Greenwood, man, he's done his last 4 movies, I think, and he's a member of Radiohead. I hope it said there.
Yeah, you're right.
Fantastic. I mean, he like There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk. I think he did Punch Drunk Love, but he's the one that's giving you those vibes, and they're not. These movies aren't the same without him. You know. So
some good ambiance in there. But so this and same like I don't think this one ended up being like wowing me and being like, oh fuck, like top tier PTA, but it's pretty good. Like I like it. Yeah, surprisingly interesting by the end.
Yeah.
I liked your review, Alex. Everybody's got their kinks. Yeah. I was not expecting that to be like sort of the consensus. At the end of this, but gotta get your rocks off. So
whatever works for.
What did you think, Alex?
This is a immaculate, fabulous, beautiful. I love this movie. Nice. It was great. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I mean, like you guys said, it was a slow burn, but I didn't really feel it dragging because I was just so interested in the characters. And what's so interesting about, like, I was talking about this earlier, is just like PTA got the idea when he got sick and his wife was caring for him and she gave him a look. And he's like, oh, I haven't felt this looks in a long time. But like he took that idea and he put it in the 50s and it's a dressmaker, and then he just builds these characters and gives them so much depth, and like, oh, this guy has this trauma in his life, so this is why he acts this way. And then this girl is like, I want love. I want to show him this love, but I also want it reciprocated, even though he doesn't know how to do that necessarily because he's got mommy issues and all this stuff. He's a particular man. And then she finally figures out, oh, this is how we can work, And he kind of figures it out too when he sees his mom, and he's like, oh, this woman cares for me like a mom. I need that. I mean, it could be a mommy thing, that's fine if you want to look at it that way, but it's just like such an interesting way of seeing how this relationship works and how it ends up working. And the characters were just so rich, and at least that's how I felt. I felt they were just like super deep and rich, and it just was, I wanted to see him unfold. And at the end of the movie, when he puts the omelet in his mouth and he says, I'm going to kiss me before I get sick. And I was like, holy fuck, he knew.
Wow, right.
That was
such a tension-filled scene. Once he's sitting at the table, it's like he first realizes, I think.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
he smarts
me.
And she's cooking it with butter, and it was fucking. I loved it. I thought it was super good. I mean, it's a 5-star movie for me.
Nice.
I don't know. It's just and I was watching a video earlier today about how PTA has kind of evolved and how his movies went from like these high octane, intense camera work, showing off his stuff, to where it's just slowly turned into like these still frames, and like subtle camera work where it's just like you're eating up everything that's on the screen. And it just felt so gritty and yeah, and you feel with this kind of movie, it kind of needs that because you want to just dig in with those characters in those moments. So that's why that kind of works. And it's not like Boogie Nights where it's just cocaine filled and you know, Magnolia where it's like 18 stories going on at once. So it's just kind of flashing everywhere. It just
Place where it's chaotic. Yeah.
I love it.
It's cool. This was definitely like a really cool character today, I think, and like a fucking lesson in like how to build character dynamics and like write characters like two simple characters together. Because damn, like, and to keep it interesting, like that's a feat. So
well, I think like what you said with like how he took this idea from basically a look from his wife, I felt a lot of the meat or the engagement I was feeling was in those relationship dynamics of
for sure.
How, because I mean, it's like, unfortunately, I can kind of identify with like some of those arguments, like especially the one at the asparagus table where it's like, you know exactly what I want and you did this, you know, like it's
for sure.
It sucks. And it's like, it's all ego driven to a point, but it's all kind of like relationship based and, you know, community based or whatever. But I don't know, those hooks of those characters were enough for me. I didn't feel total engagement in the characters personally. I just didn't really care about them at a certain like level. And maybe that's just from the slow start or sort of the like unengaging opening. Cause like this and PTA's last one, most of his movies open like just fucking shot, boom, you know, like, and then this one, they just like start and they kind of just go to the character and then you just like start the story. So like, they're not as engaging or hooky to me, but like it, like I said, the sneakiness on this one gets to me and I cared about the characters by the end. I just didn't have all of the character work. Like this movie's very composed, but I just don't know if it's like the best composition, if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, I feel that. I think I kind of felt the same thing you were feeling because at the beginning it was, wasn't sure like what the thread I was supposed to be following, the phantom thread.
Kind of, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't know like if I was supposed to be like paying more attention to Daniel Day-Lewis's characters, like his, you know, the business, like the stuff he has to deal with as like a tailor and the people, you know, what he's trying to achieve as a tailor and all that stuff and his name and all that. And then it sort of like, and then it starts like nodding once Almond is introduced and like that's sort of like that dynamic starts to like unwind. It's like that's more like kind of at that halfway point. That's like when it starts to got more interesting for me because I was like, oh, it's more about like what's happening between these characters and like how like, you know, how their relationship is forming and you know, like what you're being shown, but like what is actually being said kind of too, like between these characters. So
that's another thing I liked. I really liked about like this and, you know, his other movies that he has. It's like he took that idea and he placed you in the 50s as a dressmaker and it doesn't really make the dressmaker aspect of it is just like the world that you're in with these characters. It doesn't, it's not like vital, but it just adds more depth to the characters. You know, she respects his work. And so like when she sees it being disrespected, you know, that just gives her a little bit more like depth and shows that, oh, he sees she cares for me. He likes that, you know, it kind of breaks the ice in terms of the I love you moment, you know? So it's just like, that's his own character was the fact that he was a dressmaker and, you know, so I don't know. I think that was
utilized just to the point where it's like, okay, like, you know, they've hit critical mass now. Like it's just like organically gonna, like these characters are gonna organically find their way towards the end here, which is cool.
I think the like fashion did serve it though for me because I found like nice like theme wrapping with like power and jealousy and like the relationship dynamic. I found like the fashion world kind of is like a nice, it doesn't fully like exemplify the same like themes or dynamics, but like that's just enough like wrapping paper of a theme for me to be like, yeah, I kind of get like how you drew this relationship out of this characters or this story or whatever. But
for sure,
so it served. It wasn't the most interesting for me, obviously, but like I think it overall was good.
It goes back to, I think you said it was relatable and stuff. And strangely enough, I mean, as weird as it sounds, who doesn't like being taken care of, right? Who doesn't find that some attractive on some level, right? I mean, it's relatable in that aspect. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird that way, but
No,
I-
that's what I think was so fun about the ending of this. It's like, oh man, you actually get like a window into like this weird the language between
Yeah.
these characters and like how it's forming into like a bond of love and trust.
And
Yeah,
even
it's cool.
it goes full kink in the end, where he's
Yeah.
just like, well, we're right here right now, and I'm getting hungry. And it's like,
Mhm.
all right,
All right. Stay less, Daddy. Stay
Yeah.
less. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good shit. I think towards the end there, when it's like the movie's getting really good too, there's one of my favorite scenes, which is the New Year's party scene where she wants to go dancing and she leaves, and he's like, you can tell he like wants to go and he doesn't, and then he goes, and then it's like the countdown, and he's gone too late. Like he made the decision to go a little bit too late, and he's missing this moment with her now, and then he finds her. And then this scene was one of the most like engaging and like whiplashy scenes for me, because he sees her, corners her basically, and like they have like a moment of like, is it love? Is it, what is this? And then he pulls her arm away as if like he's angry, and they cut. And then 10 minutes later, it cuts back to that, what they were doing there, and they're dancing in there with no one else. They've stayed the whole night. And like, this is after they reveal like they're together and this is what they like, like, because I was like, so he's angry. He didn't come here for the moment he came here for, like, or he got over it and he's shifted because he's that kind of. That scene was so fucking good to me, and like the reveal later of the dancing was like exactly what I needed, to show that this information was correct and this relationship was correct, and it's so good. That was good. That was good shit.
It was a nice final little puzzle piece. Yeah.
Seriously.
It's good how they let into that too, when he's like, she doesn't fit, and then when she leaves, he feels that like, oh, that part of him was kind of missing, and he's
that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just, again, it's just super relatable, because I mean, not all relationships, marriages, whatever, are going to be perfect. You got to kind of figure out the ins and outs, the kinks, and the all that good stuff. So it's just, I don't know, it was super fun. And interestingly enough, when you guys mentioned the beginning being boring, I turned it on and it was 10 minutes in, and Sarah said, "This is so fucking boring." And I said, "Hey, just give it a chance." By the end of the movie, I cut my eyes over, and she had no phone in her hands, and she was completely involved in the movie. And I was like, I'm just gonna let it happen.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of like Eyes Wide Shut vibes with this movie, on how that one's kind of like sneaky good. It's like similar builds in a little bit, I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Both great movies. I had another scene that kind of, I was like, took note of to be like, this is a special scene, but it's so strange. Like, he's talking to his wife's ghost, I believe, right? Like, he's lying in
when
bed.
he's sick.
Yeah. And that's like one of the most emotional scenes for Day-Lewis to play. And it was one of the best scenes in the movie. And I was just like, why is this here? But it fits and I like it, it's just, that was a strange one, because it's like nothing hints at some of this like supernatural stuff really, but it's, I mean, those are the choices that a filmmaker makes, that he knows it, he's trusting himself that it's going to work. And I respect that, because like, I'm on board if you make it work and you trust yourself. So for sure.
And he kind of was he the one who said, he finds it comforting that maybe the dead watch over him in the afterlife? Didn't he say that in the beginning?
Was that what he said? Was it?
I think it's something like that, where I think he was on board with the idea of like, he finds comfort in the the afterlife.
Yeah.
And then like you said, he gets to that point where he thinks he's gonna die, but he's just being dramatic or whatever. He's just super sick, and then he sees his mom watching over him, and so I agree with you. Long-winded there, but I agree. That scene was super powerful and gave Day-Lewis's character just that much more meat to just chew on, and understand his pivot to where he went from, I'm never getting married, I'm unfixable, to I see what I see the benefits here of this whole marriage thing, because Alma, it's Alma? Did I just where she, he sees like, oh, this woman actually cares for me, and this is, this can actually work. So
yeah, for sure. Another note, this is like one of the only movies that takes place outside of like California, Nevada area for PTA. It's like the only movie. So I don't know. That's just like a nice little flavor that we haven't gotten, because when I think Paul Thomas Anderson, I think California, and I think California
Sure.
stories, and that's cool. I mean, that's the flavor that I get with him, you know. But I like to see some flexing on different geography, different takes, different
Yeah.
locations, characters, you know. So I respect
Yeah.
him just trying something different here too, you know. So
Cool
Yeah.
tropes by PTA too is like getting those character relationships started with just a glance. You know, you have Boogie Nights where Jack Horner sees Dirk across the way and that's like, oh, that's it. I'm
true,
gonna take him
yeah.
under my wing. And then
Does feel
Punch
like
Drunk
that.
Love, you see the piano and then the love interest shows up and you know it's just with a look. Somebody stumbles into somebody's life. This one, the waitress comes in. It's just cool little.
I did feel like maybe we missed some history with those characters. Like he had come into that shop maybe multiple times already, right? I mean,
Yeah, it kind of felt like that, but I just
Right.
feel like it felt so. I
right.
don't know. It
That
felt
was
like
the
a
spur of the
spark where
moment
he
thing.
saw her. Yeah, and that
Maybe
was like him being like, "Oh, okay."
because I
That's what it
wondered
felt like.
why he cared about her sometimes through the movie. I was like, what does she
Yeah.
really bring? As far as
Yeah.
like just over like just a muse type situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In the end, I was on board. It seemed like there might have been some history that they didn't show, which I'm cool with. You know, or maybe I don't know, maybe that was the first moment. If I rewatch, maybe I'll get a different
Yeah.
take. You know, so
Yeah.
Well, you could be right. I mean, when Cyril tells him to go into town or whatever, it feels like that's kind of his routine because he's a man of routine, right?
Strong.
Yeah. And when he takes it from her and says, "Are you going to remember?" Though it kind of felt like that was her first time because then he asks her out and she introduces herself as Alma. But yeah, there's not many directors that I give this many 5-star movies to. In fact, there's only 2. So
Yeah, I was surprised how many I ended up giving him. I landed on 4 for this one, but I don't know. It's like still I don't know if he's dipped below that for me so far. So
yeah, it's good. It does good work in it.
Better than a Hard Eight.
Rethinking Hard 8, I just wish that he had his way with that movie because I feel like it has so much potential to be like thinking back on it, I think I dogged on it too much, you know?
I've been thinking that too. I don't think it's as bad as I wanted to give it at the time, but it was also like his first one, so I was like, this guy's gonna be so shit because I want you better, you know, like. And it's not terrible, but I gave it like 3.5 Phantom Thread. It's like in the first half was enough of like just not interesting enough for me to be like, I don't know if I need to watch this very soon again. But the second half, you know, kind of picks up for it. So maybe on rewatch it'll grow. That's kind of what I feel like with Eyes Wide Shut, the one I compare it to. It's like if I watched it again, I think I might just give it 5 stars. You know, like because it's just something about it, something special about this take, this, you know, this vibe, this
which
world.
which of PTA stuff so far, which do you guys is like the one that you could just like throw on
Just
in the
throw
background?
on.
Or like, like that's
It's between Punch Drunk and probably There Will Be Blood, but honestly, the easiest rewatch is Boogie Nights. You could just put it in the background just because it is just like you can jump in at any scene and be with it.
That's kind of how I felt with Inherent Vice. I was like, there's so much jumping and crazy chaotic shit in this one that like when you choose to like, you know, check it out, it's probably going to be in a place that's like kind of fun and weird and like goofy. So
I think Licorice Pizza might be the most like turn on movie for just turn it on PTA movie from what I remember. But I'll give you the taste next week. Other than that, though, Punch Drunk Love I think is an easy go to. Like just put this one on and you're gonna watch bits of this and fucking love it, you know, type of movie.
What's so fun about this whole thing is like Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, and now Phantom Thread is like I think about them constantly, and I don't know. I just think that's just a good sign of a nice, poignant movie that just sticks with you, you know, and that there's something inspiring about that. So it's fun,
for sure.
You know, like I said, there's not many directors that just stick with me, and that I just think about all the time randomly. So I love PTA, so maybe
I think I'm going to be doing that more often with him. So,
I like him. I respect him. I don't think I'd say he's my favorite filmmaker. I don't think I'd say like I don't like him though. You know, I think he's got 5-star movies for me, so that makes him a very fantastic filmmaker.
Viable, maybe, you know, he's watchable. For sure.
I don't know. Final note, I guess, is I had a favorite shot where it's like inside the teapot, looking up in the murky like tea when she's about to poison him. I don't know. Good shot choices too. And I would urge you guys to watch his music videos because I picked those up over the last week, and I kind of see why his camera became more free flowy and handheld in these movies, because in those music videos, especially the one Valentine with the Haim sisters, super good music video. I'd check it out. It's just basically all free flowy, capturing what he captures with them, you know, like it's good. It's good. And I kind of understand where you're coming from, Alex, where it's like his style has changed a little bit. And I don't know if I fully like it as much, but I can respect it still. So
yeah. It's just, you know, as he gets older, it feels like it's gotten more mature, where it's kind of just slowed down and he's starting to just chew up the scenery a little bit more rather than, you know, the fast pace, guns blazing, which I like them both. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just, I kind of like that. I don't know. Maybe I just have a thing for slow chewing up the scenery type movies, you know?
It ain't a bad thing. Yeah. Soak it in.
Like one of the most rewatchable movies is just fucking Once Upon a Time, and what happens in that movie, right? I mean, it's just fun to sit there and be cradled by Tarantino.
Characters that you want to spend time with.
Right. So, and I think that's why I like, you know, Punch Drunk and There Will Be Blood, and this one especially. It just feels like these characters are just so interesting and so much to think about. So,
yeah.
First movie of his too. No, I don't know if it's the first one, but it's one of the more recent ones that he hasn't really explored the idea of where religion plays in these people's lives, I guess. I mean, it kind of delves into that with Magnolia, with There Will Be Blood, The Master. Yeah, it has how, you know, religion has this overarching thing in everybody's lives or touches some people in some ways. So it's just interesting to step away from that after the last few days.
Maybe the ghosts were enough for him to be like, that's my
I kind of felt a little bit like that, where he's like, the afterlife, you know, do people watch over us when they're dead?
Yeah.
You know, is it a comforting thought? Is it or is it a silly thought? Just, I think it can be, and you can justify it however you want, you know.
Yeah.
You might want that idea of an afterlife just because you miss those people and you want to see them again, you know, sometime.
Or you can laugh at death in the face.
Yeah.
And scoff at it.
Sorry to get on a
rage against the light.
And on a downer, guys, we're in a limo.
Yes.
See, it's fucking the club. We see it.
I need a bump. This is powder.
I'm feeling it. I'm still good. I'm refreshed now after Inherent Vice's fiasco. I'm back and ready.
Cool.
I'm excited for Licorice Pizza. I haven't seen it, so it'll be fun to end on. Big fun one, I think.
Close it out for PTA.
That's the last one.
Can't believe it. Yeah, it's been fun though. I'm excited for this last one. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get to the club.